Hi, it's Carl Allen. Welcome to module number 4, Deal Analysis and Meetings. So at the end of this module, we'll be 50% through your empire building journey. And module 4 is really important in your deal making journey. In our target range, $500,000 to $10 million revenue businesses, these deals are done between people. You as the buyer and the business owner or owners as the seller. Therefore, it's critical to understand how to prepare for meeting sellers and how to nail those seller meetings every single time. Now, there's a process to make these meetings successful, and that's what I'm going to teach you in module number 4. So here's what's coming up. So in this lesson, I will walk you through the pre-meeting work and analysis so that you're prepared to meet or speak with sellers, armed with the confidence and the tools that you need to totally nail that conversation. So lesson 1 is setting the scene for you ahead of that meeting. And in lesson number 2, I'll give you my perfect meeting playbook, all the critical questions that you need to ask and in what order to continue to build rapport, credibility, and trust seamlessly. Then in lesson number 3, I'll show you what to need to get out of the meeting, the numbers, the business information. This is critical for you for 2 reasons. Number 1, so you better understand the business and how it maps to your deal specification. And then number 2, so you can use the numbers to value the business and structure a deal, which we get into in the next module 5. And then also submitting an offer to negotiate to buy the business, which we'll cover in module number 6. And then finally, I'll cover follow-up meetings and conversations and the additional questions that you'll have once you gain access to the business information. If you're meeting sellers from broker-originated deals, then you'll already have some numbers. So I'll spend some time on the basic income statement analysis because you'll likely have initial questions, but we'll save the deeper work on that for module number 5. But before we continue with module number 4, I want to check in on the implementation work from module 3, deal origination. So I trust you've been out generating deal flow, originating deals. And obviously, if you've got no deals in your pipeline, you've got nobody to meet. So module number 4 will only be academic for you. And if you haven't started your deal origination yet and you don't have meetings ready to go, you may want to temporarily pause this lesson and then spend your time on that deal origination work. This way, you'll be able to get the most out of this week's call, in which you'll have the opportunity to discuss any issues that you may be encountering. And as a reminder on deal origination, you're taking your deal specification 1 sheet and then setting up your deal origination machine to create the deal flow for you. Not as an isolated task, but as an ongoing process that will generate opportunities for you constantly. And using the primary methods of deal origination that I showed you in module number 3, building a network and priming it for deals, leveraging social media and events, building lists of businesses you like, and using the direct approach process and template to contact the owners. And then finally, using business brokers in the right way, both on the deals that they are marketing and as deal finders for you. And it's all about building your deal origination funnel, quickly vetting deals against your deal specification and then ranking them so that you can then focus on the very best opportunities that are best for you as you build your empire. So once you've got some deal opportunities and you're going to meet business owners, this is what you need to do before these meetings. So you'll probably start with an initial call. This could be a follow-up thanks to a direct approach or an opportunity that's come to you from some networking or an opportunity from a broker with a business listing that fit your specification. So on that initial call, your goal should be to schedule a full-length meeting. You can't do everything on the first call. If you can visit the owner and visit the business in person, then definitely do so. In person is so much better because you can read facial expressions, body language, tour the facility, all that good stuff. But it may be that you're looking at deals remote from where you are right now. So if you are in, say, Boston and you find a deal in LA, it's probably not an efficient use of your time to jump on a plane just for that one meeting. Instead, you might want to use that meeting as a placeholder to create other meetings in the same area with other businesses, owners, deal intermediaries, CPAs, lawyers, wealth managers, banks, financiers. So fill up your calendar, plan the trip, and really work the location, meeting the people that will move you forward, both deals and those important deal intermediaries. If you must do the main call or meeting remotely, use Zoom or Skype so that you can see the seller. It's got to be face-to-face. Don't just use the phone. You've got to get face-to-face because it's so much easier to build rapport. And really, you want to be in the same room, but I appreciate that's not always possible on every deal. And also, if you meet it in person, don't expect to go straight to the business premises. You may have to meet off-site first in a neutral venue. And that's good for two reasons. First, you want to respect the owner and you want to build trust by not meeting in the business. The employees probably don't know that the business is for sale, and they'll be curious as to who you are when you first visit the business. Clearly, you need to visit the business as part of your evaluation, but if necessary, build a relationship off-site first, earn the owner's trust, and then you can visit the business afterwards, sometimes immediately afterwards. Now, I typically meet the owner of a business for lunch or coffee first, and then go straight afterwards to visit the business, like even later that day or even the next day. And when you go to the business, be prepared to go in incognito. The owner isn't going to introduce you as the potential future owner of the business. Employees will likely not know that business is for sale. I've been introduced as a new client, a banker, a CPA, a lawyer, and many other things. Be prepared to roll with that. And before you visit or meet, you need to do your research and build on the analysis that you've already done. So take a very detailed look at the business's website and other online listings. Scour the information memorandum if it's a broker deal. Check Google for awards, news, accreditations, anything that can give you more insights to the business. And it doesn't hurt to review all the initial research that you've collected and have it at your fingertips. And also, prior to meeting, be a mystery shopper. And what I mean by that is pretend to be a prospective customer of the business. Call them up, ask for a brochure. This may give you additional information. Go through their sales process, their sales funnel. If it's an online business, buy their lowest cost product like an ebook or a supplement and rate your customer experience in your journey. So what worked well that you can compliment the owner about? And even what didn't work? If something is broken, by alerting the owner in the meeting, you're building rapport by adding value to his or her business. Just be cautious not to nitpick, but to frame your feedback in a positive way. If you're located close to the business, if it's a physical business, go and drive by. Is it busy? Is it clean? Is it safe? Is it accessible? And if you have a deal sent to you by a broker, then you probably have some basic financials. Brokers create an information memorandum or IM, and it has the financial highlights. Now, I get into the full financial analysis in module number 5, since you typically receive the full financials from the seller in the meeting under an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. But if you have a summary of revenues and earnings, and perhaps even a forecast before the meeting, here are some things that you can add to the list of questions to ask that I'll lay out for you in the next lesson. So this is an income statement summary from a real deal. You typically don't get the full detail in the IM. That comes from the accounts and the tax returns you get later. But there are some trends in here that you should be aware of. Now, most IMs will have historical performance. So for this business, we have 2017, 2018, and 2019 numbers, revenues, profits or earnings, and margins. And look at what happened. From 2017 to 2018, the revenues went down substantially by a third. My first question would be, why? Then the revenues more than doubled, 2018 to 2019. Again, you need to ask why. So did the business lose key customers in 18, then really dial in some new business development to get the result back in 19? And there could be other reasons, but you need the narrative, you need to know why. And also, during the revenue swings, just look at the profits. And generally, when a business grows revenue, the profits grow also, but at a higher rate. Since a portion of the cost base, we get into this much more next time, the cost base, the overhead is fixed. So same if the revenues go down, the profits decline at a faster rate, since that fixed cost overhead eats into the profits faster. But on this deal, revenues go down by a third, yet the profit goes up. How can that happen? And in this instance, the business killed all low to zero margin business and focused all of its efforts on its highest margin activity. So that makes sense. But you need to know why. You need to drill into these issues to find out what's going on. So get the narrative. Then you look at the forecast, the future. The numbers are rounded. This tells me that they're made up. Now, a seller will always try to sell you on a big upside and expect for you to factor that into your offer now. And we don't do that. And I'll explain why in module number 5. So if you see growth forecasts, drill deep on the why. What are the trends? What's driving this big increase in performance, both in terms of revenues and in terms of profits? It's really important. Now, one question I always ask a seller is, if they weren't selling, what would they do to grow the business? What opportunities are out there that aren't being capitalized on? Okay, so the first meeting between you and the seller has 3 goals. Number 1, it's all about building a relationship with that seller. Number 2, it's positioning yourself as a credible buyer with authority and position as a safe pair of hands to take the business over. And then number 3, it's for you to establish the quality of the business and the motivation of the seller to sell to you. So the goal of that first meeting is to really build that relationship, create that rapport, because it's going to pay dividends for you throughout the rest of the deal process. And in addition to building rapport, you need to build trust and credibility. And that comes from your establishing your position and authority. The owner wants to know that his or her business is going to be in good hands when you buy it. And you need to get an early read on the quality of the business. Is it worth continuing to pursue? Does it fit your empire building deal specification? Will it move the needle for your current business? And then what's the seller motivation? Why do they want to sell? What are the life circumstances that are making this happen? Is it retirement? Is it boredom? Is it illness? Is it frustration? Is it exhaustion? Or have they taken the business as far as they can and they want to cash out and hand it over to someone else? And be aware, there are 2 pitches going on during this first meeting. First is you pitching the seller. So actively listening to them and having empathy for their situation if required. And your goal is to be the fixer, the problem solver. If the owner wants to sell, but he or she fears for customers, employees, brand, legacy, etc., you need to put those fears to rest. You may be the only buyer for this business. So this is the seller's only shot. Now the seller will also pitch you on his or her business. And during the meeting, show authority, but try to avoid arrogance. You should have a pipeline bulging with deals. So keep asking yourself, is this a good fit for my empire? Are there better deals out there for me? And you're playing the deals off against each other because this is a numbers game and it's certainly a buyer's market. Remember, only 1 in 11 businesses will sell in the first 12 months on average. And your ultimate goal in that first meeting is to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So you can get the numbers, so providing you like the business, then you can model up the deal, which we get into in module 5. So we'll get into the NDA process and the information that you need about the business in a later lesson within this module. So that's it for this lesson, pre-framing the meeting. In the next lesson, I'll walk you through my perfect meeting playbook, including all the questions that you need to ask, the rules of engagement, and the power of continuing to build and strengthen the personal relationship between you and the seller. I'll see you in lesson number 2. Until then, bye for now.